Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie. I was about to start a book unhaul video and I was like, hello. I actually have books that I haven't talked to you about yet that I have purchased since my birthday book haul, which yes, was 2.5 months ago. So I think in that book haul, I was like, it's the last one for a while. Okay, Allie. But this time I actually do mean that because I can't shut up about it. We're moving. We finally got an apartment. More on that later. I did a whole apartment hunting vlog that I will be putting up as soon as a couple final things have clicked into place. And while I haven't unhauled anything, even looking at some of these books, I'm like, I shouldn't have gotten this. So I'm going to really try to purchase books with intention going forward. We'll see how that works out. First up, I have Anita de Monte Laughs Last by Xochitl Gonzalez. I'm so sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. I do have a reason I bought this. I did a video a few months ago, I think back in March, where my TBR.co recommended me books and they did it for a second time. I started a whole video on it and then I got into a reading slump. So I'm just gonna haul these, and if I do complete that video, you'll see it eventually. If not, I'll be reading this eventually. It's about a first-generation Ivy League student who uncovers the genius work of a female artist decades after her suspicious death. Oh, it sounds kind of mysterious. And it's set in 1985. Oh, it moves back and forth through time and it's told from the perspectives of both women, the main character and then like the original artist's character. I kind of want to go back and see what the TBR.co person said. Should I just spoil that video and just tell you? Where's my phone? Okay, found it. Oh, also, I might be going to see that new Alien movie tonight. It actually looks terrifying. Like, okay, this was recommended to me because I like fast-paced literary fiction with big twists and fantastical elements. Ooh, that's cool. Two young Latinas in the art world, one a rising artist in the 1980s, the other in present day, are overshadowed by their wealthy white boyfriends. The current one uncovers the mysterious death of the 1980s one and starts to look at her own relationship and artist culture differently. Susie, hi Susie if you're watching, says that it doesn't give you much info, but she thinks it's best to go into this book without knowing too much and being surprised. Okay, wait, Susie made that sound way cooler. Then I got Black Cake. I remember seeing this on everyone's favorites, which is why I picked it up, I think at Target. Actually, no, I think it was in Walmart, and I was like, you know what? Why have I not gotten this book? And I see here that it's becoming a Hulu original series. That's interesting. I love adaptations. That being said, I don't know what this is about. In present day, a woman named Eleanor Bennett's death leaves behind a puzzling inheritance for her two children, Byron and Benny. Cute names. They get a traditional Caribbean black cake made from a family recipe with a long history and a voice recording. Intrigue. In her message, Eleanor shares a tumultuous story about a headstrong young swimmer who escapes her island home under suspicion of murder. Damn, these actually kind of sound alike. There's like grappling of the past and breaking mysteries from people who have passed away. This one sounds a little juicier though because they're family. It's deeply evocative and beautifully written. If anything's beautifully written, I will read it. Like I don't give a shit what it's about. If I can underline a sentence, I'm in. Let's just read a random sentence within the first half of the book so I don't spoil anything. Ready? But by then, Benny had already evolved into a person who could smell the weather in a handful of flour and taste the earth in a spoon of cane sugar. That was beautiful description. Oh my god. Next up, I got Blue Sisters by Coco Mellers. I don't believe this is out in the US yet. I got it from Europe. And I like how they have, oh, it's not very floppy, but I do like that they have paperbacks. I honestly got this because I was getting jealous, okay? And it just looks cute. I mean, she looks a little sad, but you know how I feel about that. I love a sad girl. This is the author of oh my gosh, and I think what really did it was Raven Leilani's blurb at the bottom. She said gorgeous. My favorite book of last year was Luster. Oh my god, where is she? This book absolutely skewered me. Anything Raven says to read, I'm going to be reading. This author's first book is Cleopatra and Frankenstein. Still haven't read it. I've heard wonderful things about it, and I've heard that this author is such a beautiful writer. It's about a group of sisters. It looks like there's 4 of them. Avery is a straight-laced lawyer living in London, the typical eldest daughter, though she's hiding a secret that could undo her perfect life forever. Bonnie was a boxer, but following a devastating defeat has been working as a bouncer in LA until a reckless act one night threatens to drive her out of the city. We also have Lucky, the rebellious youngest, is a model in Paris whose hard partying ways are finally catching up with her. And then there's Nikki, the beloved 4th sister whose unexpected death oh no. No! This is reminding me of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. If you know, you know. When a year later, I think I'm PMSing. When a year later, the 3 of them reunite in New York to stop the sale of their childhood home, they find that only by returning to... Okay, I can't. I feel like this is gonna be for fans of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Okay. Oh, next up is Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. I talked about this because it was on my July TBR. Did I read it? No. Am I sad about it? Yes. I think this is sad girl horror. Hallucinogenic. What? Our main character is Irina. She was exiled from the art world. She starts taking explicit photographs of average looking men, and she's able to display her work at a fashionable London gallery. But she has gotten into the rut of drugs, alcohol, and extreme cinema. I want to know more about that. And you would think that she was excited that her work is going to be featured in a gallery, but it makes her absolutely spiral out of control. It triggers a self-destructive tailspin centered around Irina's consuming relationship with her best friend and a shy young man from her local supermarket who has attracted her attention. Like, I want to know where the horror fits in, but it's also the kind of book, at least it sounds like, where you're going to be really shocked, and I want to be. Next up is Cinema Love by Yaming Tang. This is a staggering, tender epic about gay men in rural China and the women who marry them. This spans 3 timelines: post-socialist China, 1980s Chinatown, and contemporary New York City. So in the past, these 2 men, they couldn't be openly gay, and so they met up in these cinemas, and then they fell in love, and I think the girl was like a ticket giver. I don't know. From what it sounds like, they were each other's beards so that they could be together. It sounds interesting the way the timelines are set up. I don't know, there's potential for a lot of yearnings, a lot of anger towards society, but also hopefully some hope. I don't know, I'm really hoping this is a happy ending, but you never know. Ooh, the author of Shark Heart has a blurb: a beautifully told story about the delicate tension between love and longing, the crisis of loneliness, and the price of regret. No! I need these people to all be happy. Forbidden queer love and the cost of secrets. That sounds like something bad is gonna happen. Look how beautiful this cover is. Next up, I got Dishonestly Yours by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the author duo of the Addicted series. I did not know that they were identical twins. I thought they were just besties writing smut together. Identical twins, that is so cool. Look at them! They're so cool! I got this because it's the beginning of a new series of theirs, I believe. I read 6 or 7 of the Addicted series books, and I loved how bingeable they were. I liked how they built this family and these characters. I felt very close to them because they're featured in all the other books, and I got so excited to read like the next one's story. And I thought they were juicy, but they were also very emotional. My battery's dying, hold on. Anyway, I wanted to be there for the start of another batch of characters. This is about 2 best friends. I think their parents are involved in crime, or their families are like mafia-esque, that sort of thing. Am I in focus? The besties decide to leave and go to a small town and live that Gilmore Girls lifestyle. I think they get like cute jobs in a small Connecticut town. Okay, yes, definitely Gilmore Girls-y. And then one of the friends' brother follows them, and they're like, oh my god, you're gonna ruin our fun here because you are just nothing but trouble. And our main character's name is Haley, and she and her best friend's brother are gonna get it on. I'm telling you right now, that's what's gonna happen. And it's gonna be hot. And I think there might be like a thrilling 3rd act that you get in a mafia romance story, which is one of my favorite things to read in a romance. I don't know what it is. I'm not a fast-paced kind of reader, but in a romance, if there's that like sense of danger and like, oh my god, I love it. Again, I'm hoping for a great relationship between these besties and hopefully getting to know them so that I can keep reading more books and jumping to different characters and just loving them all. But I also hope for a lot of fun and a lot of emotional depth, but not overtly sentimental. I don't know, I really like this duo. They're twins. Hello, Gemini season. Yes, actually, just kidding. Virgo season just started. Grant is in his prime. He's a Virgo, I'm a Gemini. I don't know if you care, but it's an interesting marriage we have. Why did I bring that up? Next up, I got Entreat Me by Grace Draven. And I got this because Kristin with Kristin Kraves Reads got it, or she was talking about it. She's just influencing me left and right. She's the reason I also picked up Boy Parts, by the way. Now, Grace Draven is the author of, oh my god, what is this book called? It's so cute. It's the most wholesome fantasy romance you'll ever read. I never finished it. I was like a chapter away and I just put the book down and I was like, well, I kind of know how it ends. Even though I'm pretty sure there was like a huge cliffhanger that I didn't read, but maybe I heard about it. I was just there for them to fall in love, and it was really cute because it was like arranged marriage, but it wasn't enemies to lovers. It was strangers to friends to lovers, and it was just a wonderful, wholesome time, and it was hot. I had no idea that this author also had a Beauty and the Beast retelling called Entreat Me, so I had to get my little hands on it. It seems pretty much a straight up retelling. So I love Beauty and the Beast retellings. I don't know what it is about being held captive, but it does it for me, okay? I'm sorry. Next up is Five Brothers by the one and only P-Dog, Penelope Douglas. This is the author of these books. I love these books, okay? She is a smutty queen. She has problematic things happening in her books. I eat it the fuck up. She also has an obsession with family members in books. I don't mind it. The sexy things that happen in her books, oh my god. She just really does something for me. I'm gonna keep reading her books, and this one's brand spanking new. The back of this, which I did read in this video if you want to check it out, it really tells you nothing about what the plot is. She just explains the 5 different brothers that this main character knows. We don't understand how they know each other. She's probably gonna bang every single one of them, maybe at the same time. Ew, that's kind of gross, but is it? Yes, it is. Okay? Okay, let's move on. Next up, I got the second and third. I think there's only 3 books in this series. What is the series called? I don't know. The first book is Kingdom of the Wicked. I read it a few months ago, enjoyed the heck out of it. I wasn't expecting to really like it as much as I was going to. I thought it was just gonna be a fun time, and I was very intrigued by it, and I liked the author's writing, at least the descriptions and the setting. Oh my god, I need some Italian food as I read these. And there are Princes of Hell in this series. I want to know more of them. The reason I got these right away is because I really want to read Throne of the Fallen by the same author, and I started to jump right into it, but I think there's a note saying that though this is a different series and you don't technically need to read the Kingdom of the Wicked series, I think there is a little bit of overlap, and I don't want to spoil anything in here, and I want to get to know the characters in here before I jump into this. But now I have to read like 2 whole books before I get to this book, and it's going to take me 100 years longer to actually read Throne of the Fallen. But I am determined to do this correctly. Next up, we have Lightlark. Why did I buy this? I cannot remember at all. I just know everyone was reading it, so I just grabbed it. Let's find out together what this book is about. Welcome to the Centennial. Every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game, where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide, and each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves and their realms, one ruler must die. What? I don't know what any of that meant. I was hoping for hot and sexy. I'm clearly in a romance mood. Chloe Gong says, fantasy that reads like a breath of fresh air, filled with secrets aplenty and enthralling magic. Lightlark will have you gasping, then swooning, okay, while these valiant rulers fight to break their curses. I'll give it a shot because I bought it. Allie, why did you buy this? If you've read this, let me know if it's worth the hype, because I do remember seeing it around a lot just like a month ago. Oh gosh, Middle of the Night. This is the one that made me think, Allie, like you have a problem buying books, because I bought this new Riley Sager book. I want to put it in my unhaul. I've only read 2 Riley Sager books now. The House Across the Lake, I give this like 4.5 stars. I ate it up. I absolutely loved it. So much fun. And then I read, what is it, The Only One Left, and I thought it was fine. It was like 3 stars. I don't know about this one. I feel like the majority of people are giving it 3 stars. I don't want to read a 3-star book again. At least not one that doesn't have smut in it. But what's stopping me is that a few of my friends give it 5 stars, and I'm just like, what? Just based on what I've heard about this book, it just seems so direct. So I don't know. You tell me, please, should I unhaul this? It is so cute though. I love this green. Next up, I finally got Nightcrawling by Layla Motley. I heard about this back, I think in 2022, when the Booker long list or short list was announced. And I remember my friend Kai from Kai Knows How to Read liked this book a lot. And I was like, okay, I'm putting it on my list. And then I never picked it up. I think I'm just really intimidated by the Booker list, whatever, because I have a few books on there that I get because of that list, or I got before the list came out, and then it turns out that they're on this very fancy literary list, and I'm like, oh, I'm not smart enough to read that. So I am being brave. I think Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies is the other one that's really coming to mind here. This is a dazzling novel about a young Black woman who walks the streets of Oakland, a debut that announces a blazingly original voice. About a woman who ends up night crawling, which makes me think of this movie, and I think that's when you like do investigative reporting. Her brother wants to become a rap star, and Kiera is like trying to make ends meet in any way possible, and that's how she gets into this job. And she's taking care of the 9-year-old boy next door who's abandoned by his mother. Her world breaks open even further when her name surfaces in an investigation that exposes her as a key witness in a massive scandal with the Oakland Police Department. It's a stunning arrival of a voice unlike any we've heard before. Let's do the thing, because you know how I am about beautiful writing. Let's pick a line and I'll read it for you. Hopefully it's funny. It sounds like someone is giving birth. Ooh. Ooh. Next up, oh, I'm so excited to read this one. Old Flames and New Fortunes by Sarah Hogel. And I got this because I think it's my friend Becca's favorite book of the year so far. Am I wrong, Becca? This looks like a cozy romantic fantasy and very wholesome. So let's see what it's about. Oh wait, is this not fantasy? I'm sorry. Why did I think it was fantasy? Our main character is a florist. It says she uses the language of flowers to help the hopeful manifest love in their lives. For some reason, I took that as like she somehow uses flowers to like put love spells on people. Okay, no, Allie. Her flower shop's potential financier, and I think she's trying to impress him and get him on board. So she somehow has to fake date her chaotic colleague Trevor to get an invitation to this wedding. But all hell breaks loose when she discovers Trevor's soon-to-be stepbrother. Wait, what? Why am I so confused by this? I feel like I'm being dumb right now. The shop's financier is having a wedding, and so she has to date some guy named Trevor, but his soon-to-be stepbrother, Alex, was her high school sweetheart. I'm not understanding the connection here, but I'm sure when I read it, it will be clear. Alex King was her high school sweetheart, her greatest love, and the boy who broke her heart. What starts as an innocent misunderstanding becomes a week-long fake dating scheme with his stepbrother, but Romina quickly finds out she can't deny her connection with Alex. Wait, is she... why am I so confused? I feel so dumb. Anyway, it's got fake dating. It's got a second chance romance. I really hope we get flashbacks of how they fell in love. That's my favorite way to get a second chance romance. But the way Becca raved about this, I don't remember exactly what she said now because things go in one ear and out the other, babe. But she raved about it, and I trust Becca with my life. Next up is The Deep Sky by Yumi Kitase. This was another book recommended to me from mytbr.co, so I'm just gonna read Susie's message because that was really fun. Susie says, if you love a fast-paced sci-fi novel, this one is a must-read. Asuka is one of 80 teens selected to leave a dying Earth and save the future of humanity by flying aboard a spaceship to start a new civilization on a different planet. But their carefully laid plans are thrown off track when an explosion on board kills several people and shifts their flight path. Asuka is the only surviving witness of the explosion, and has a bit of an inferiority complex due to barely making the cut for the mission in the first place. Can she find out who is really responsible and save herself and her shipmates from another attack? It's kind of like a locked door mystery set in space with a dash of the Hunger Games thrown in. That makes me concerned. Actually, I wish Susie hadn't have said that because that's like the antithesis of a buzzword for me. If it says it's like the Hunger Games, I'm like, not that I didn't love the Hunger Games, but I'm like, I'm tired of it. Oh my god, I sound like such a hater. Next up, I have The Forest Brims Over. This was put on my radar by a subscriber. Thank you so much. All I remember seeing and reading about is that this is a woman who turns into a forest. And this is translated from the Japanese by Hayden Trowell. I didn't realize that. Nawatari has long been the subject of her husband's novels, depicted as a pure woman who takes great pleasure in sex. How have I not read this before? Hold on. I feel like if the word sex is on the back of a book, my eyes just go like, but I didn't see that. With her privacy and identity continually stripped away, she has come to be seen as by society first and foremost as the inspiration for her husband's art. When a decade's worth of frustrations reaches its boiling point, she consumes a bowl of seeds, and buds and roots begin to sprout all over her body. Instead of taking her to a hospital, her husband keeps her in an I don't know that word. Aquaterrarium, set to compose a new novel based on this unsettling experience. Oh my god. But Ree breaks away from her husband by growing into a forest, and in time she takes over the entire city. This sounds so good. Next up, we have God of the Woods, The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I have been seeing the most amazing reviews on this. I try to skip it because I'm actually, oh my god, going to be co-hosting with several other people on Kayla with Books and Lala's Literally Dead Book Club for the month of September. So late September, early October, we're going on live. I'm going on live with Kayla. I am so happy that this is the book she chose because I'm so sure this is going to be 5 stars, which makes me want to stop thinking about that because it's going to get in the way. But that's a problem for late September me. I can't wait to read this book. I know it's going to be amazing. This is about a family. I think it's back in the 90s. Just kidding. It's the 70s. The 13-year-old daughter in this family goes to this summer camp and she disappears. Everyone's looking for her. It's a big deal that she's gone because her family owns the camp and they own basically the whole town, and everyone's scrambling about. The really interesting thing, besides a missing child, is that interesting? That's just really sad, actually. But even more tragic is that a while ago, what was it? 14 years ago, the son of this family completely disappeared while going to this camp as well. So there's intrigue. I think there's gonna be some family secrets. I've heard a couple things that might be spoilers, but I'm trying to black them out. Those things have made me think that I'm absolutely gonna love this and eat it up, and it's gonna be for me. I hear it is pretty slow slow in a way that I might like, where it's written beautifully and it's very atmospheric and quotable, and like I'm gonna be underlining the shit out of this, but also that driving mystery and the family drama. This is like maybe top 5 book of the year prediction here. Oh, I'm just saying. Next up, I got The Hearing Test by Eliza Barry Callahan. I got this because I was gonna do a reading vlog reading Dakota Johnson's new book club books. I've read 2 of the books so far, accidentally. I read Beautyland, which is my favorite book of the year. Like, that's not coming off. It was one of the first books I read in the entire year. I knew it instantly. Favorite book of the year. It's not changing. I really don't think so. This ended up being Dakota's. I don't know if Dakota's actually reading all these books or if it's her team, but they're picking some good ones. This was the first book in her book club that started in March, and I was like, okay, you have my attention, Miss Johnson. And then recently, this was a book club pick, and I absolutely love this. So I think Dakota might be my girl for recommendations, or at least her team. The only reason I say it's her team is because I don't hear her like on the Instagram actually talking about the books, except for Beautyland. I feel like a hater now. I take it back. Dakota, I'm sorry. Why am I getting nervous? Cinema Love was also on that list, which is why I picked it up. And then The Hearing Test is another one. This is very closely following a sort of true story. How do you say that? This is based on true events of the author, where she slowly started losing her hearing, and it's her experience of that. And I'm sure based on what I've read from this book club, this is immaculately written. It's very short, so I don't want to flip through. Why don't we read the first sentence? There we go. The preface, first sentence. I have a habit, since I can remember, of reading plot summaries of movies and books before watching or reading them. Is that not normal? I mean, I'm literally doing that right now. Anyway, next up, The Ministry of Time. Now, I got this because Emily Henry said it's like her new favorite book. And since then, I've only seen, oh, I'm so sorry. I've only seen mid reviews. I haven't seen any bad reviews, but also it makes me wish that I had just gotten this from the library. Change my mind in the comments, please. This is an ingeniously imagined, hilarious romp through time, space, and the human heart that announces an exhilarating blah, blah, blah. This is in the near future. There's time traveling, some historical thing that actually sounds a little boring. I feel like I'm being so negative right now. Why am I turning on this book? Our main character is tasked with working as a bridge, living with, assisting, and monitoring the expat known as 1847, Commander Graham Corr. Okay, wait. This sounds like a rom-com. Over the next year, what begins as an excruciatingly uncomfortable housemate dynamic, because he's like an old dude who's probably got some problematic, misogynistic, racist things to say, I don't know, it evolves into something much deeper. By the time the true shape of the ministry's project comes to light, the bridge has fallen haphazardly, fervently in love. Okay, Emily Henry, you might be onto something. With consequences she could never have imagined. Forced to confront the choices that brought them together, the bridge must finally reckon with whether what she does not can change. That sentence doesn't make sense. We're moving on. Now, what I've heard about this recently from a friend is that, oh, look at her bangs. I trust her immediately. I should have looked at that first. What I've heard from a friend is that this sounds really great and thrilling, but also romantic, that there's a lot of things going on, but ultimately it wasn't wrapped up nicely, or they didn't delve deeply in each of the lanes. It was kind of just a surface level on all of them. A great summation from my friend, Folklore and Fiction, by the way. Also, I'm paraphrasing, so sorry if I got any of that wrong. But it makes me a little apprehensive, but I gotta say, reading that summary does get me more excited. Why is it that I need a love story in everything I read? Next up, The Night Ends with Fire. This is a beautiful copy. It's also very heavy, which is kind of impressive. Why is that? I don't know. This is the cover. We got some sprayed edges. Beautiful. The inlay, that's not what this is. This is the end pages. And then there's like a quote. Never trust a dragon. It's stunning. This is a Mulan retelling. I talked about it in this video as well. I had a lot of fun. There are a couple sexy Mulan clips I made. This has been described as the beginning of a series, so I'm very confused as to how, if we're going with the Mulan tale I know, where it's gonna break up. But it's also inspired by the legend of Mulan, so it could just be taking a few aspects of the legend itself. So I really don't know shit. I'm hoping for a love story though. Is anyone shocked? I did start this and I wasn't sure I'm gonna love it, just because it's very like, you're dropped in the moment, things are happening. I'm not that kind of reader. I need to be like slowly fed into the world. There are exceptions though, so at some point I'm going to dive headfirst and hopefully fall in love with this. We shall see. Next up, my friend Emily, a friend to us all because she's a booktuber. She wrote her own book, and I'm pretty sure she wrote it in November during like, I'm gonna butcher this, NaNoWriMo. She wrote a book and she published it, and I have my hands on it now. That is so amazing, and Emily, I'm so proud of you. This is so cool. This is a dark romantic fantasy. It's called The River Serpent. Also, Emily, this is so soft. In the quaint town of Edrington, excellent name choice. I can't believe you wrote a book. This is crazy. The inexplicable disappearance of 4 young children sends tremors of fear throughout the community. Among its residents is Rosie Barcroft, a sheltered young woman whose life takes an unexpected turn one fateful evening, propelling her towards the lands of Canaria, hopefully I said that correctly, where she has only heard stories. Prince Damien and Diverson of Canaria grapples with inner demons that haunts his nights, while a malevolent force corrupts the land. Drawn by an unseen hand, Damien's path intersects with Rosie's, and together they embark on a journey fraught with danger and discovery. As they delve deeper into the Avalon forest, Rosie and Damien confront challenges that test their resolve and unearth secrets long buried. Will they uncover the answers they're both searching for, or will they succumb to the darkness lurking within and without? And Emily so kindly sent me like some photos, some photo art, so I can envision what these characters look like. I'm sorry it's so shiny. I haven't taken them out of their packages because I don't want to put my little grimy finger paws on these beautiful, stunning images. And she also sent me like a bookmark, sticker, and things so I can annotate my friend's book. How effing cool is this? I'm gonna leave Emily's channel down below, as well as a site where you can purchase this, but I do believe this is on Kindle Unlimited right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's read the first sentence. Also, I was flipping through this the other day. Look how beautiful it is. Each chapter has like this, like someone we know did this. It also looks like there's journal entries and it's got like a different font. I love details like that. The first sentence of the prologue, 1764. The contents of the book were kept for personal belonging. Intrigue. Emily, I'm never gonna shut up about this. This is the coolest thing anyone's ever done. I'm so sorry you won. Next up, I got a book that I have read before. Well, it's like a book. It's this book. This is The Secret Language of Birthdays, and it's all about astrology. I find it very fun, and I don't care if it's ridiculous to some people because I'm not taking it so seriously, okay, babe? This is a fun time for me. This book I found, I think when I was in middle school or high school. I remember hearing Nina Dobrev talk about it in a magazine, and it goes into individual birthdays. April 8th, and it talks all about people who were born on this day and like how you are. It's analyzing you, your health, advice. It's just really fun and specific to not only like your sign, but the day you were born. The author, Gary Goldschneider, I'm sorry I laughed, Gary Goldschneider, that just sounds like a great name. Gary Goldschneider. He observed over 14,000 people, including contemporary and historical figures, to get all of this information. Obviously, like how can someone know the inner workings of that many people? Like no one can truly know you, but it's just so cool. I've looked mine up a couple times, like when I've gone into the bookstore. I've looked up like when I have a crush. I used to go and find their page and I'd be like, oh! And it's just nice to finally have this in my hand. And I read his a couple times because when I had a big crush on him, I was like, let's do some research, Allie. This author also has, my monitor sits on it. I've had it for years. It is The Secret Language of Relationships, and it takes into account the week you were born. It doesn't go into specific days because there's probably not too many examples of people that dated or had a relationship of the same day, but like, how fun is that? My birthday, as you might know because I always talk about it, is June 7th, the same day that Prince was born. He and we are Gemini twins, and I remember in all of these it has advice. I remember being at the bookstore and reading like my friend's advice. It was very like, make sure not to take life too seriously, that kind of thing. Guess what my advice was? I was flipping my hair like I couldn't believe after this. This was so like it girl of me to have this advice here, and nerd me was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. Of course it happened in a book. Beware of your seductive powers. Yes, I'm just gonna toss my hair. Next up, I've talked about this. I read the first chapter in this video during Summerween. I really liked it. It's got boarding school energy, so I'm thinking I'm gonna read it for fall. It's The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew. I got this because, man, I can't find it. I really need to unhaul some books, but I purchased this author's newest book, and one of my subscribers, thank you very much for telling me this, said that it's easier if you read this book first. You get the whole magic explanation. So I just bought it impulsively and just so happened to really like the first chapter is very intriguing. This is about a young woman who goes to, I think it's more college level. She takes this test to go there and she is given a scholarship spot, and it seemed like they were gonna reject her, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you get to do this. And it's like a top secret faction of the school. I also don't think this is a fantastical world, so I think she is about to learn some really cool fantasy secrets. Our main character is also deaf, so she's really sick of people treating her like she's fragile. The faction that she's in allows people to slip between parallel worlds. How cool is that? There's also this dude named Colton there. Apparently he died when he was 9 years old. He woke up later at the feet of a green-eyed little girl who happens to be our main character, Delaney. 12 years later, they find each other again. He's ordered to stay away from her. I'm not sure by who. Aren't they adults by now? I just kind of want to jump in here. Boarding school, potential romantasy thing, fantastical elements, underdog coming out on top. It's all there for me to love. Next up, I got the Z Word. This was my last recommendation by Susie. I was very excited when I saw this cover. It's very cool. Some of your favorite books star queer characters and have a good mix of twisted humor and thrills. So I had to recommend this hilarious horror novel that I'm completely obsessed with right now. This is Susie talking from mytbr.co. If you just skipped to this, I'm so sorry. Chaotic bisexual Wendy is less than thrilled to kick off Pride weekend in San Lazaro, Arizona with her ex-girlfriend and the lesbian couple her ex is now sleeping with. But things get a whole lot worse when folks start behaving strangely and violently. That's right, it's the zombie apocalypse. And it's breaking out in the middle of Pride. It's uproariously funny, razor sharp, and super queer with a found family of zombie fighters, including a drag queen, a non-binary pizza delivery person, and a motorcycle lesbian who makes her own moonshine. This sounds really, really fun, and it sounds like something I would have a lot of fun with. The only thing I'm a little nervous about is how fast-paced and action-y it sounds. Again, I really only like that in a third act in a romance novel, but I think everything else hopefully makes it fit together, and the characters are entertaining and loving enough for me to not really care what's going on and just enjoy the vibe. Next up, Nicole, a subscriber, gifted me this book, Thirst, which, look how beautiful it is. I've heard really great things about it. This is another translated work. It's by Marina Yuzuksuk and translated by Heather Cleary, who happens to be the same translator that did Pink Slime. So I'm so excited. And based on this, I think they're vampires, and guess what? I think they're lesbians. Across 2 different time periods, 2 women, 1 vampire, 1 mortal. Oh, why does that just make everything more interesting? Confront a yearning that will not let them rest. A breakout genre-blurring novel from an exciting new voice of Latin America's feminist gothic. It is the twilight of... Okay. They did that on purpose. It's the twilight of Europe's bloody bacchanals of murder and feasting without end. In the 19th century, a vampire arrives from Europe to the coast of Buenos Aires and watches as a village transforms into a cosmopolitan city. She must adapt, intermingle with humans, and be discreet. In present-day Buenos Aires, a woman finds herself at an impasse as she grapples with her mother's terminal illness and her own relationship to motherhood. Oh wow, serious, okay. When she first encounters the vampire in a cemetery, something ignites inside the 2 women, and they cross a threshold. I am so excited! With echoes of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which that was on my TBR for this month in my head, so I need to read Frankenstein first. So that's gonna inspire me to actually finally finish that book. It explores female agency, all-consuming desire, and the fragile vitality of even the most immortal of creatures. Full body chills. Nicole, I could not love you more, and I agree. I feel like we'd be friends too, especially if you're recommending this book. Oh my god. Next up is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Kleor. I don't know how to say his last name. I got this in July because people were talking about it. That's all it takes for me, really. And then I think I heard it's being adapted. I don't know if I dreamed that or what. It's Get Out meets Parasite. It's a Reddit hit. I've never heard a book described as a Reddit hit. Okay. 2 homeowners whose lives are turned upside down when the house's previous resident unexpectedly visits. A young queer couple who flips houses, Charlie and Eve, can't believe the killer, LOL killer, deal they've just got on an old house in a picturesque neighborhood. I'm stumbling over my words because my battery's about to die again. As they're working on renovations one day, there's a knock on the door. A man stands there with his family, claiming to have lived here years before and asking if it would be alright if he showed his kids around. People pleaser to a fault, this is what I would do. Eve lets them in. As soon as the strangers enter the home, uncanny and inexplicable things start happening, including the family's youngest child going missing and a ghostly presence materializing in the basement. Even weirder, the family can't seem to take the hint that their visit should be over. That's a horror in itself, like honestly. And when Charlie suddenly vanishes, Eve slowly loses her grip on reality. Oh my god, this sounds good. And finally, I'm gonna scramble to say this. We Were the Universe by Kimberly King Parsons. This was another one on Dakota Johnson's book club pick. I was gonna read this for a video. A young mother in denial after the death death of her sister. What is all over this book? Oh, there's a spider. And now he'll be on the book forever. Gross. A young mother in denial after the death of her sister navigates the dizzying landscape of desire, guilt, and grief in this darkly comic, ooh, I like that, highly anticipated debut novel. I don't think I'm gonna get through the synopsis without my camera dying, so this is a, I'm guessing, literary success. Let's read the first sentence. My daughter is backlit by the sun, waving and calling to me, but I'm split. Half of me is here on the playground with her. Half is in the past with the girl who taught me about negative space. Interesting. Sorry for the unprofessional ending here, but I need to finish this. Thank you so much for watching. This is going to be the last book haul, and I'm going to have the same reading shelves, but coming up next is my apartment hunting video, if I can actually get into the place. I'm still waiting to hear back on something. And then a book unhaul, and then I will be vlogging all throughout September. So, sorry for the radio silence lately. Life has been absolutely insane, but I'm coming back, my friends, okay? Goodbye.